All right, let's jump into it. It's 7 past 10 on 29th of January. So coming into the end of the first month, and what a month it has been. Absolutely insane. We had obviously sort of the just got the alerts going crazy here. We had FOMC this morning, and look, the dollar was sort of firming up. Jump onto the dollar here. Dollar was sort of firming up a little bit, sort of coming into it, but really, I mean, if you look at it in the scheme of everything, it's really just sort of a blip of it all. And this wasn't really a sort of confirmed channel. I mean, we had two touches, kind of lined up a little bit, a bit of an overshoot down here, but you kind of probably want sort of three touches to really sort of confirm a channel. But certainly we could see it was starting to move up here. If you have a look on the 4 hour, we had a little bit of a negative divergence, and for a second there, it was looking pretty good, sort of coming into sort of Powell starting to talk, but he just didn't really sort of give anything. Like, if anything, I would have thought a couple of his comments sounded maybe a little bit hawkish, but even just that sort of description of that maybe kind of sounded, obviously isn't a sort of directly sort of hawkish sort of a stance, but I don't think it was particularly dovish either. I don't think there was really a great sort of takeaway with it. But when you're getting, again, if you're going against the backdrop of obviously just incredible sour USD sentiment, the market kind of needed something, and I just don't think it wasn't necessarily that, okay, hey, we're dovish and we're going to sort of be cutting and, we need to act like that. But it wasn't really kind of like inspiring to sort of say, hey, look, you know what, let's sort of really sort of turn this thing around. And you can see this in the price as well. So, look, it kind of gave up a little bit. This is where he was coming in and started sort of talking. And obviously sort of like, kind of just sold into and just sort of really tapered off. So if we were to say from a technical standpoint, you could say, okay, here's a falling resistance breakthrough, maybe in a little bit of a back test area here. So I don't think that it's necessarily, destined to go down here straight away. I think today will be interesting. If we can find a little bit of a continuation of this kind of grind up, then the target definitely, as I mentioned the other day, is this gap fill. If we can get that gap fill, I think that's going to really sort of paint the picture a little bit more, because that was the kind of plan that we have. It's sort of like a move up, close the gap, and then if we do this and then start to come down, then watch out below, because that's really going to sort of start to tank. And who knows what's going to happen with metals if that happens. I mean, gold did, I don't know, $400 or something yesterday, thereabouts. In this, where did it go from? I don't know, where's this? It's on a 1 hour. So what's the 4 hour here? Where was the low? Tuesday. So Tuesday at 6 o'clock, put in its low here. No, wait, what am I talking about? Oh, wait, that's Tuesday last week, isn't it? It's hard to sort of keep up with these things. It's to sort of no, wow, that is Tuesday. That is Tuesday this week. It's the 27th just here. So from Tuesday 6 a.m. it's gone up nearly $500. It's now Thursday 10 a.m. So in 48 hours, it's gone up nearly 10%, nearly $500. I mean, this is just insane. Like, it really, really just is just, I mean, there's no level to any sort of charting that you can do with this kind of stuff. It's like you pick out a little level, it breaks it, and then it's capitulating out the top side. Like, it's having a sort of silver moment at the moment. Like, silver obviously running 15% or whatever in one day the other day. Percentage wise, silver will always outdo it, but anyway. So yes, anyway, back to what we're sort of talking about here. Dollar's not. I was trying to say dollar's not completely dead, but it's looking pretty bad. But look, in the short term, if you can get above that little sort of spike high, then the gap close is the target. I think that's going to be the big tell. If we see a rejection of the market from there and move down, then yes, definitely going lower. And who knows, maybe you got another $500 in gold. 6,000's kind of really all of a sudden becoming a realistic target. I mean, if you're doing $500 in 48 hours, who knows where this thing's going to stop. Obviously, it's not going to keep doing $500 every 48 hours, but certainly at the moment, it's just, buy. It just keeps on sort of just chugging up higher. So anyway, that's where we're looking at for DXY. Let's flip along. We got silver. Silver's back retesting the highs up here. Silver's another one that it's been lagging gold a little bit in the last couple of sessions. Obviously, still on the bid up here. It did have like at first we had like a little bit of this sort of potential bear flag kind of situation happening here, but as you can see, the second effort, unable to break through that sort of 106 area, and then obviously the buyers got back involved with it. But yesterday, it just really sort of, while gold was sort of charging to the highs, silver really was just consolidating the day. Like it actually sort of, this is where the Powell started talking, came back down, and the plan with the silver was to obviously sort of come back and retest this rising support line. And admittedly, it did it a little bit later. I thought maybe we may have got something in Asia, but it did come back here. It has sort of firmed up this line, so it'll be quite an interesting line that we can use. Just put an alert on it. Don't really need too much of a message with it. Should it sort of come back here and test again, but I mean, we are effectively kind of getting ascending triangle through here. It's funny. It's sort of like these things just morph through everything. It's sort of like, potentially there was like this little diamond top thing happening, a bear flag happening, then we break out of that, then it's a failed breakout, coming back, now it's got into sort of like a longer sort of triangle. This seems to be a bit more of the play here. This sort of larger sort of triangle, it's broken out, it's hit this like all-time high, which is effectively kind of the swing high here as well. So a break above here pretty much opens the door and we'd be sort of moving up. There is a little bit, not really a massive sort of thing. If we do look at this, this is again, you've only got two touches on these two here, but it is pushing up towards what would be that sort of resistance. So probably about 120, 121 would probably be the target of an initial move. But likewise with gold, what we've been seeing with these things, and you can see this here with silver, even if you did have what could potentially be a little bit of a channel, it could just blow out of it, and it just doesn't respect any sort of technicals at all. It's just sort of like capitulating. Like, it's easier to sort of picture these things when you look at it like this, because everybody knows free falls. But if you look at this, here's just sort of like, coming along, and then as soon as it broke that, it just fell down. Yes, very sharp spike back up, but here we are coming again. There's a good chance that this happens. Maybe this holds here, but, I wouldn't sort of be banking everything on this line holding here. And certainly, if this does come down here, and we sort of do something to this effect, that could then just go bang down here. And we could see another one of these big, massive 10, 15 buck days. I mean, gold and silver really are just sort of like passing the flows back and forth between one another at the moment. And, you may see silver obviously taking the lead the other day. But, now sort of silver's been sort of like, just biding its time a little bit. What happens when they go, hey, hold on, wait, gold's run a little bit too much now? They're not necessarily selling it off. But if they don't sort of sell it off and the flows and the strength just go back into silver, well, that's what's going to get silver and possibly another 10, 15 bucks or so. I mean, look, it's a bit hard to sort of call these sort of things at the moment, like, because really it's just like, if you stand back, look at this. This is from, what's this? From 48 bucks here. It has not once broken its lows each time it comes back. Like, it's just crazy. Then they just buy up, and you can just see the angle in which it's sort of coming up here, and then it's just gone, and it's even tighter, and then tighter and tighter. I mean, this is pretty much at this point just going vertical. You know what I mean? There's not really too much. And here we go. We're breaking out here as well at the moment. So just gonna. Therefore, all right. So yeah, just got that little breakout there. So. Look, I guess we'll just sort of see how far these things go, but, while we've still got all this sort of turmoil going on, it's hard to sort of think what it is, because there's just so many things that have been supposedly the cause of this, but I think realistically, it's just a cumulative total of it all. Incredibly weak dollar, Trump just coming out saying anything he wants, whenever he wants. As I said, look, I've said it a number of times, I'm a fan of Trump, but in regards to the trading, I think he's an absolute fucking moron. I mean, look, in all fairness and shit, it's sort of like, it sort of like comes out sort of like, don't get what you want. Oh, I'm gonna, it's art of the deal, art of the deal. Yeah, so it's we're gonna put 100% tariff on. I mean, look at how the market reacted to Canada. I mean, people just go like, go on, dude, pull your fucking head in. But end of the day, is it Greenland? Is it Venezuela? Remember Gaza? There was that going on, and the peace deal agreements or whatever, or the border pieces and all this kind of thing. Now they've got sort of issues on the home front and shit with the Minnesota stuff and that's potentially leading to another sort of government shutdown. We had the government shutdown last year. There's just so much stuff happening. I mean, as I said, it's the 29th of sort of January, and it just keeps going. And it's no wonder that people just go, on top of that, they're just like, let's get out of the dollar. And, metals is just a place. I think actually sort of equities hitting all-time highs as well. Let's have a quick look at this. Yeah. So over 7,000, 7,050 over there. Look at this. A bit of sort of shakes around here with all this kind of stuff. But, end of the day, I'm not looking at the equity so much with it all. But, yeah, certainly, the metals are definitely finding the love here at the moment. It's just going up even further. 5,500. Wow. Uh, Honestly, it's just insane, these kind of moves. Anyway, moving on. Let's have a look at anything we could potentially do. Look, let's say you sort of where this 1 hour closes and that. Certainly, if you get a close above here, I think sort of first stop is another $4 or so. Which again, I know I keep remarking at sort of how big these movements are, but $4 is just a little bit of a whiff now. Excuse me. At China Open the other day, we did $5 off Open. Where was it? This one here, I think. Yep, China Open, just $5, just an easy straight up. When we came down over here, this is 11, 11 down to 6 or so, 13 there, so $7, $8 and that, drop down, then fly back up. Even from 5 o'clock this morning, we're at 11. Now we're up at 18, so $7 in a couple of hours. So, these things are kind of flying all around. So to go up to sort of 21, you may see some sort of like reactions around here. But I would say certainly if you break whatever this line is here, even though we've only got 2 touches on it, it's just literally that's the kind of angle of the kind of moves that we're looking at the moment, and it's just straight capitulation after capitulation. All right, so gold. Look, I mean, up. You want the analysis? There it is. It's not really anything you can really do with this. You just kind of, if you want to trade it, you close your eyes and buy it and just go with it. But certainly at the moment, it doesn't look like any sort of movement of slowing down. I mean, this is on the 4 hours. So in the last 4 hours, it's gone up $200. You know what I mean? Like that used to be like 6 months kind of thing, like if not more. So yeah, it's just a crazy time to be sort of trading this thing. Aussie, another one that's sort of benefiting from this just complete sort of lack of US sort of demand for the dollar. This thing has not pulled back at all. This whole move up here, like I was saying the other day, did about 5%. This was the break from down here where we were in that little sort of area, and I said, look, outside these lines, that's where we're going to get our direction. And obviously, boof, we have got our direction here. But as you can see, I put in these little sort of like little baselines here. It's moved up, no pullback. Moved up, no pullback. Consolidation. The pullback here maybe got very close to closing the gap, but still kind of left a bit of a gap there. Breakout. Consolidation. Barely any pullback. Breakout again. Like, it is absolutely just firing. And this is the thing that's making so many markets so difficult to sort of trade at the moment because, there's no sort of to and fro with it all. There's no like, okay, break and back test, get on board, and this kind of sort of technical analysis that you can apply to this stuff. It's just going up, and they are just sort of dumping the dollar no matter what they can. So it is certainly quite a sort of crazy time to sort of be trading these sort of things. But at the moment, like, and by that, I kind of mean sort of like up around 70. 70 is a big mental barrier. We haven't been up at these levels for quite a few years for the Aussie. And you can see there was a couple of pushbacks yesterday. We had Trump's comments at the Open. We had high CPI. So Aussie's got everything fundamentally going for it. It's got strong jobs. It's got weak. So it's got strong jobs. It's got hot CPI. It's got most likely a hike coming next week. So it's got every reason to still be going up. But at the same time, you would expect, a little bit more profit taking from any of these kind of levels along here. But the thing is, Aussie has been very subdued all of 2025. While we had sort of like that big sell-off in April, whatever it was, Liberation Day, and then sort of like, we saw everything kind of recover. You look at sort of the euro. The euro hit like 161%, and God knows what it's at now in terms of sort of recovery of that level, probably even higher, of course. But at that sort of point, just over the comparative, Aussie was maybe getting to 50 to sort of 61% of its recovery. So it was very subdued a lot of 2025. And that's despite having metals pumping, equity markets pumping, like all the things that should be pushing Aussie. Just Aussie was not reacting to it, and that was a big thing for 2025. Correlations were just out the window. The normal sort of ways in which you would sort of go, okay, well this is running, this is running. Why or not why, but if these things are pumping in theory, that should bolster the Aussie, and it just wasn't. But it turns out that it was kind of like a ticking time bomb. And we've seen Aussie just hit turbocharge and sort of really sort of come all the way back up through here as well. Speaking of which, where is Euro? And if you can see even this, like this is Euro is really set, as you can see, underperforming Aussie in this particular sort of movement here. Aussie punching out to the highs, Euro pulled back, and yeah, it's still moving up here a little bit, but certainly not putting in new highs once it went above 120. So it really does sort of seem a bit of a catch-up game for Aussie in that at the moment. But all these things sort of considered, I mean, like again, one thing that works, and well, no, it doesn't work, but it's a bit odd with Aussie, is that with all this turmoil and all this sort of like kind of what's going to happen, Aussie is a risk currency. Equity markets still pumping, and Aussie's pumping. That doesn't really sort of work out as in air quotes as it should, because obviously sort of like it's not a sort of particularly sort of like optimistic time. I suppose economic data wise, it's not too bad for the US. Certainly for Aussie and that, it's not too bad. So there are reasons for this thing to be moving, but that whole sort of like, oh hey, it's a risk currency and the world's and I saw some report before on that sort of world timer or whatever, that we're closest to midnight or whatever than we ever have been before. And if that's happening, well, Aussie's certainly not paying any attention to it, and it's sort of charging through to the highs here. So look, I would say at the moment, obviously, this is just another consolidation. We've got a breakout here. We've seen these periods of consolidation, breakout, boom. Probably up around sort of 70-60. 70-60 seems to be probably a logical area, a bit of what could be this channel, which, in the scheme of things is only a sniff away now. So we'll have to sort of see, because as I said, look, if the US dollar does catch a little bit of a bid, obviously that's going to sort of put a bit of weight on Aussie. And probably keep it around this. I'm very surprised that even like through these levels, fine, chop through it all, but coming through 70 and you can only come down 20 points, I found that a little bit sort of odd. And so I'm a little bit cautious around here, but certainly up around that 70-60, I think we'll start to find some sort of resistance there. But very much in breakout mode, so it doesn't mean we're coming back down over here, 67 or lower or whatever. But at the moment, it's just obviously sort of break out, consolidate, and looking to sort of push a little bit higher here. So keep an eye on the metals. One metals are still going high. Aussie will probably still be sort of carrying on as well. And obviously, once we see the US dollar open, that'll probably give us a bit more direction on top of that as well. Aussie against yen. So this pretty much worked out, as you can see, straight to plan here. Like we came down. We double tested here, and this is what I always talk about, the three waves. Came down, found support, up found resistance, came down, tested it. You always get that third wave. Double bottom. Doesn't mean that, you're necessarily reversing. It just means that this was the potential to sort of see, and to a certain degree we did get that. We did get a sort of little bit of consolidation through this area. And so I put the wicks, the marks of 106 and 107. I said, once this gets close outside, we're going to see direction here. So, obviously, had we sort of broken through these wicks, 104, high 104s were the sort of play. But as you can see, obviously, bang, Aussie back on the bid, ripping back up to the top side here. So I'm not quite sure what they're going to do in regards of sort of like BOJ and all this kind of sort of stuff with it all, but certainly, the market is sort of like this. To break this down, the market's sort of like getting a little bit worried about it, worried about intervention, worried about them sort of buying the yen and strengthening and seeing like a repeat of 2024, where Aussie lost 17% in 4 weeks just through that period. And this shows that people are worried about it, but push come to shove, oh, you're not doing anything? Ah, well, let's put those positions back on. And back up it goes and that. So, I mean, this red mark here is like a 35 year, since 91, so 35-year high for Aussie against the yen. So, it's really right up into that intervention zone. So they got right to be cautious. But again, BOJ, they talk the talk, but when push comes to shove, they do nothing. And you can even see, like if you break this out here, you can see it was building with a little ascending triangle before they just popped this. And obviously they popped it this morning prior to the data. And not that, I mean, it's directly affected by the data, but certainly Aussie still continued on after that sort of after basically we saw that US dollar wasn't sort of getting back on the bid. They just took that as another like, okay, boom, let's push it up here as well. So downside still underneath 106 seems to be a fairly sort of reoccurring number. But while it's up here, realistically you're looking back up towards 108s and that till we see some actual concrete movement from BOJ. And I guess, in turn, sort of from the Fed there as well. What's that zone? But, so certainly while Aussie's back on the bid, it seems to be sort of moving up here. All right, I think that's it in terms of data. So, yes, obviously, we saw this morning, 6 a.m., the Fed sort of held flat there. And not really too much through today. Trade balance there. We've got import prices for Aussie. No, nothing. Unemployment claims, I guess, tonight. But this has really become a bit of a nothingness and shit at the moment. For a while, their jobs were really at the forefront of the Fed. But this seems to very much have simmered down, and people seem to accept the levels that they're at the moment. So, there was a while I was saying 230, 240 would have been sort of shake the boots and that, and sort of dollar sell off. Well, dollar's selling off anyway, and you're down at 200s. So I don't think they're really looking at this too much. And to be honest in that, it was really, in terms of FOMCs, it was a little bit of a nothingness kind of meeting in terms of what he sort of said there. There was a lot of questions. I mean, it was almost sort of like, you're up there, you've got the chance to ask him something, and he's going to shut down any sort of question about sort of Trump or any of these things that are non-sort of monetary policy sort of related. Yet people still sort of shoot their shot, and he's just like, look, I'm not going to answer that. I'm not going to answer that. So yeah, it wasn't really anything massively to sort of take away from that. All right, that's it from me.